What's going on, guys? JHoyt back with you today. Welcome back to some Call of Duty Black Ops 4. Today we got some public match gameplay, playing some Control on the map Nuketown. So I hope you guys do enjoy that in the background. As today, once again, I was scrolling through Reddit, and you know, there's always really good topics there that you know, I'd love to talk about all of them. But this one was more of a priority than other ones because this one actually has a really good talking point. And so as you can see on your screen now, the person with the name of, I don't think this is an actual name, I think it's NCKLWS93. So whatever that's supposed to be, he says or she says, international teams in Call of Duty. So now that we have JerkyXP and company on Splice, there is a really big chance of scraps in 0 to phase. I think it's safe to say we've hit a new point in Call of Duty esports. I'm happy to see the best players being on the best teams, and that the EU players have a chance to mix up with NA players, and will we see Rated and Joe go to an NA team. So basically what they're saying is, instead of having a North American team, or a completely European team, or a APAC team, or a Spanish team, or a French team, or whatever, we have mixed teams. So this is a big thing in, you know, in Counter-Strike. I know obviously that I can speak to because I do watch a little bit of Counter-Strike. But if you look at like FaZe or even some other top teams, they have a mix. So it's not just a strictly French team or strictly Spanish team or whatever. They have a mixed variety of players and nationalities from their teams. So this was kind of the first year of this. I mean, it's kind of been done in the past, but it's never really been successful. But JerkyXP is now on Splice with Looney, Accuracy, Aqua, and Temp. These guys are a pretty darn good team. I'd say definitely top 5 team right now, top 4 team even maybe. But you know, JerkyXP was kind of the lone man on Splice, and he picked up this North American roster around them, and you know, now they have a kind of a mixed lineup, even though it's 4 North Americans and 1, where is he from? I think is he French? He's not French, he's from the UK or something. But the other thing is scraps in 0 to phase. FaZe is not currently in the Pro League, however there's talks and rumors going around that they could possibly join, and then Rated and Joe go to an NA squad as well. So those are all just rumors. Obviously, JerkyXP and Splice is all an actual team. That's no question. But I guess the biggest question was, do we have a problem with international teams in COD? No, honestly. I mean, I love mixed teams, especially when, you know, you had so many North American teams in the league, then you had so many European teams, and then an APAC team or 2. And it wasn't really the best competition, honestly. You know, especially with APAC in Europe, they've always been usually, you know, a couple steps under North America as far as talent goes, and they never really stood up to the test. Well, recently, within the last couple of years, you know, Europe is starting to make names for themselves and started to come out, not out of nowhere, but they've come out and actually performed pretty well and are consistently in the league now and actually doing usually quite well. However, with like Red Reserve this year, they're kind of middle of the pack. Then like Reciprocity, Denial, Heretics. I guess Heretics not in this one, but you know, the rest of the teams there aren't really doing the greatest. But you know, the CWL Pro League is a global league, which the best Call of Duty players in the world are supposed to be playing in. So obviously there's, you know, relegation and all that stuff that you know, put yourself in the league, and there's a big, you know, Pro League qualifier and all that, you know, stuff. And there's been a lot of team changes this year with you know, swapping people that haven't really been performing outside or inside the league to grabbing people from outside the league and bringing them in. And then for the most part, they haven't really done much better, because most likely that original team that you had was better than the team you're trying to create. And that's kind of weird to say, because usually it's the opposite. So if your 5th member isn't performing that great, you know, it's different. But I would welcome more international teams in COD, especially with you know, the potential franchising and all that fun stuff. You know, you'd love to actually see that. As far as, do we see more international teams this year? I guess it would all depend on what FaZe is doing as far as their rumored roster and the red reserve spot and all the other rosters and possible rosters coming up before CWL London. And I say, hey, if it works out and it's gonna work out for the best, and you create a good team, I don't see why it's a bad idea. And then you know, so it does have good, you know, good things and bad, which is what the first comment on this one actually says from David H. This is not a real name, but we'll just go David down here. He says, I think it's good and bad. Good because you get the best players on the best teams, which is what I basically said. Regardless of region, which is for the players is great, and you don't get any teams that are just in the league because they're from a specific region. Very true. That also push people to get better, so that way they're in the league. Because there's only, what, one APAC player left in the league, I believe, and he's on, what, reciprocity or denial or something. What else does he say here? So I always like to root for the British teams. So last year, Splice, Unilad, Red Reserve, and now we won't have an NA-EU rivalry when it comes to teams, as there is a mix on some of them, which is kind of what we get at, right? With the mixed teams, there's not really any, you know, European teams or North American teams. It's a team, which is now mixed. So if you have a player, a couple from Canada, from France, and an American player, you know, it's no longer a region thing. It's a team thing. So I think it would open eyes to more European fans to, you know, get into North America and come here and play and everything. So like I said, it's good and bad. You know, I would love to know what you guys think. Let me know that down in the comment section below. If you did enjoy, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and as always guys, we'll see you next time.